Anime Crossroads will forever be remembered as having one of the most overkill autograph sessions I've ever experienced in an anime con. It was such an overkill autograph session that I ended up getting so many things signed at this convention. So I met 4 voice actors, and I got, I think, at least 20 things signed altogether by every single one of these voice actors. So without further ado, here's my entire autograph haul, or should I say overkill autograph haul, from Anime Crossroads 2016. So let's start this autograph haul with a brand new voice actress who I met for the very first time at Anime Crossroads, and it's none other than the lovely Landa. So Landa, she's a very, very funny lady. I had a very good conversation with her about all the roles that she did in video games and anime. So half of the stuff I have for Landa to sign were all video games, and that's where I first heard of Landa. I heard her in video games, and then I slowly started hearing her in more anime. She even commented that I asked her so many questions about video games, and she was actually wondering if I actually watch anime. So that's how much I got really into Landa when it came to video games. So let's start this autograph haul with a video game where I heard Landa for the very first time, and not only Landa but several other voice actors for the first time. And that game was Tales of Graces F. So a lot of people who play Tales of Graces F might know Landa as the final boss in the future arc, Little Queen. And oh my gosh, Little Queen was such a difficult boss to beat. So my experience with Little Queen, it was in the final dungeon, and I was facing off against Little Queen, and I lost the first time. So I faced Little Queen again, and it was such an intense fight. I was playing as Asbel, and all my other characters died, and I ran out of revival items, and at the very last second, I was able to beat Little Queen, but barely. So that's how difficult Little Queen was in Tales of Graces F, so I'm really glad to get this one signed. My introduction to Landa. So after Tales of Graces F, the other Tales games that Landa did voice work in was the Tales of Xillia series. So I got Tales of Xillia and Tales of Xillia 2 signed by Landa. So Landa played a character named Leia Rolando in both of these games, and she's a very, very funny character. She starts off as this I don't know. I'm trying to remember this. I think she was she just wants to be that person who just really cares about Jude. She just wants to be with Jude. But Landa said, you know what? It's not going to happen. She's probably better off with Alvin. So I'm really glad to get both of these signed. Leia Rolando was such a funny character. So the next thing I got Landa signed, and this was from an interview that I saw on YouTube from MatsuriCon 2015, and that was Drakengard 3. So a lot of people who play Drakengard 3 might know Landa as one in the game, one of the sisters that the main character was trying to kill. And Landa commented how this character was a character where she was being it was like the Ryuko Matsui of Drakengard 3. She was a character who screamed bloody murder. So this was a character that I can't believe Landa was able to pull off. It was such a crazy character in the game. So I'm really glad to get this one signed. Now the next game I got Landa to sign, and it's a game on the 3DS, and I think she barely sees this game, and that's Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker. So Landa played a character, Io Nita, in the game, and Io had a really cute voice. She was one of the most important characters in the game. For those of you who played Devil Survivor 2, probably know what I'm talking about. Very close to the end of the game, she played a very, very important role. And those who played Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker might remember that scene in the game where you were trying to rescue Daichi, and Io decided to do a little method called Operation Cardboard Box. So I reminded Landa about Operation Cardboard Box, and it was really, really funny. She actually did, in Io's voice, Operation Cardboard Box, and I thought that was really, really cool, and it was such a funny mission in the game. For those of you who haven't gotten to that part of the game, it's a really, really fun mission. So those who are fans of Landa and got to that part of the game, you'll really like the Operation Cardboard Box mission. Now we get to the most important thing I wanted Lauren Landa to sign, and this was such a cool honor to meet both voice actors of the one character who I use at conventions where a lot of people got angry at me for using in Super Smash Brothers, and that happens to be Robin. So I got Lauren Landa to sign my copy of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. She was female Robin in the game, and it was a huge honor to get both David Vincent and Lauren Landa to sign my copy of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. So I ended up meeting both of these voice actors all in the same month, and it was just an honor. Robin is my main character in Smash once again, and it was so cool to meet both their voice actors on the same month. So that's it for video games. Let's move on to anime. So let's start off with the anime that a lot of people know Lauren Landa in, and that's Attack on Titan. So a lot of people may know Lauren Landa as Annie in Attack on Titan, the minor character who gets bigger later on in the show. Then the next thing I got Lauren Landa to sign, and Lauren commented that it was a really cool experience voicing this character, and that was Noda in Noragami. She's a really creepy character. All those conversations with Yato and Yukine with Noda, so yeah, I'm glad to get that one signed. Then the next thing I got Lauren Landa to sign, and this was an anime that I recently watched, and that was A Certain Magical Index Season 2. Lauren Landa is Lucia, one of the nuns in the show, so I'm really glad to get this one signed. Then we get to an anime that I wasn't planning on getting signed, but this is such an overkill autograph haul that I was just searching Anime News Network to see if they had any minor roles in the show, and Lauren Landa happened to have a minor role in the show, and that's Space Dandy. She did some additional voice work in the show, so I'm really glad to get this one signed. So that's it for Lauren Landa. It was a really huge honor to meet Lauren Landa, and hopefully I'll listen to her voice in more anime and video games. And I'm planning on seeing Lauren Landa again at Anime Milwaukee, so I can't wait for that. Now the next person who I met at Anime Crossroads, and this was my third time meeting this voice actress, and she happens to be one of the very first voice actresses I've ever met at an anime con at Anime Central last year, and it's none other than the lovely Alexis Tipton. So the last time I met Alexis Tipton was back in Anime Iowa last year, and since then I started watching more shows that had her voice in anime. So not only anime, but I also played more video games with her voice in it. So while most of the stuff I have are anime, I did get a few of the games that she did voice work in. So let's start off with video games. So one of the biggest roles from Alexis Tipton was Alicia in Tales of Zestiria, so I'm really glad to get this one signed. And it's a real honor to meet both Robbie Damon, who voiced the main character Saray, and Alexis Tipton, who did the voice work of Alicia in Tales of Zestiria. So it was really cool to get both of these voice actors to sign this game. Now the next thing I got Alexis Tipton to sign, and this was a really huge honor because this was the very first copy of the game that she actually signed at a convention, and it's none other than Xenoblade Chronicles X. So Alexis Tipton did the voice of Hope in the game. I didn't really get into this game yet. I only played about an hour of Xenoblade Chronicles X, but once I do have the time to play this game, I'll go ahead and dive in. I'm so glad that so many voice actors were able to do voice work in this game. It's a really huge game, and it has a really huge voice cast, so I can't wait to meet more of the voice actors for this particular game. Now the last video game that Alexis Tipton signed, and this is a video game that's on the 3DS, and even though she did minor voice work in, she did play one notable character, and that game was Stella Glow. So Alexis Tipton did some minor voice work in this game, but one character that really stood out was Boo Boo the Pig. And one thing about Stella Glow, when you purchase Stella Glow first print run, not only do you get the game, but you get a few other goodies. You get a cloth poster of one of the witches in the game, and you also get one of these. This is a keychain of Alexis's character Boo Boo in the game, Popo's pet pig. And Alexis freaked out after she saw this. She thought this was a very cute keychain. I think she might want to buy the game after seeing this. It was a really cool character. I'm really glad Alexis signed this. So that's it for video games for Alexis Tipton. Let's move on to anime, and I have quite a lot of things that Alexis Tipton signed for anime. So let's start off with a series that a lot of my friends got me into, and that was the Haganai series. And Alexis played a very crazy character named Rika, so she signed my Haganai, and she was Rika in the show. One of the wackiest characters Alexis Tipton did voice work in. Oh my gosh. Any scene with Rika was always a memorable scene in Haganai. So I got my first season of Haganai signed, and she also signed Haganai Next. This was an anime that Alexis' character Rika got even more crazy. A lot of people might remember that Black Dragon scene in the show. Alexis' character was just screaming a lot of funny stuff, funny explicit stuff, and it was a really cool character. I'm really glad to hear Alexis' voice as Rika. I would never expect Alexis to do voice work like that. Now the next thing I got Alexis to sign, and actually she actually signed this in Anime Iowa, but the Sharpie she had was a really bad Sharpie, and she was able to fix it. She was Mina in Attack on Titan. For those of you who watch Attack on Titan, probably know what happens to Mina. Good thing Attack on Titan Junior High makes up for that. Then the next thing Alexis signed, once again, she signed this in Anime Iowa, but the Sharpie she had was really bad, and it was Hyoka Kazakiri in A Certain Magical Index. Alexis Tipton signed that. She's this character right here. And she also signed for Hyoka in my A Certain Magical Index Season 2. A lot of people might remember that scene in the game. In the show. So the next thing I got Alexis Tipton to sign, I didn't watch this yet, but I should before meeting again Sinclair, and that was Space Dandy. She was Honey. Then the next thing I got Alexis Tipton to sign, and this was a show that one of my friends, Rap5, recommended to me, and that was My Bride is a Mermaid. She was Sanseto in the show, and I didn't watch this series yet, but I heard Alexis had a really strong role. She actually gets to sing a song in the show, so I can't wait to watch My Bride is a Mermaid. So once again, like Lauren Landa, this was such an overkill autograph haul, so I ended up getting a few extra things signed by Alexis Tipton. So the next thing I got Alexis Tipton to sign, and this really got me into watching more of the show, and that was the first part of Psycho-Pass. A lot of people might know Alexis Tipton as Akane's friend Yuki, and it's because of this character that I ended up binge watching the second part of Psycho-Pass. Some people probably remember what happens with this character in the show with Makishima, and once I got to part 2, I just wanted that guy to die. Oh my gosh. It made me binge watch part 2 of Psycho-Pass, and I just watched that non-stop until the end. So yeah, it was thanks to this character that I couldn't stop watching Psycho-Pass. So I'm really glad to get Alexis to sign this one. Now another thing I got Alexis to sign, and her character was so minor that she only had one line in the show, and that was Komaru Naegi in Danganronpa the animation. Some of you probably remember that scene in the game where they were looking at videos. One that Makoto had Alexis' voice. She was Makoto's sister, Komaru Naegi. So in the video game, Jeremy Lee did the voice of this character, so really cool to get Alexis to sign this, even though she only had one line. And like in my Anime Apocalypse autograph haul, this was my go-to anime, and that was Shiki. She did a voice of a character in the game, so once again, go-to anime, because so many people are in this anime. And lastly, I got this super awesome print of Alicia from Tales of Zestiria signed by Alexis Tipton. So I picked this up in the Artist Alley. I actually saw this in the Facebook group of Anime Crossroads, and I got really excited to pick up this print. So a big shout out to Steph He for making this super awesome print of Alicia. So when I purchased this print and brought it to for Alexis to sign, Alexis actually thought that this was official artwork from the game. And I can see why, because this is a really awesome print of Alicia. Look at all that detail. It's a really good print. So once again, big shout out to Steph He for making this super awesome Alicia print. Now the next person who I met at Anime Crossroads, and this was my second time meeting this voice actor, and it's none other than the super funny John Swasey. So the last time I met John Swasey was back at Anime Midwest. The one thing I know John Swasey for was Lord Death and Soul Eater, and after I went to his panels, I learned a lot more about John Swasey, all of his other funny roles that he did in anime and video games. So the one thing I really like about Anime Crossroads was that they fully utilized all the guests. And as a result, John Swasey had a bunch of interesting panels. He had that movie that he showed, that 18 plus movie. He had that Con Horror Stories panel, which I thought was really, really hilarious. And he also had that voice actor training panel where John Swasey will have volunteers to do some voice training. And this is an example of how a typical voice training session is. So if you're really into voice acting and you have John Swasey at your con, that's something I definitely recommend if you're going to do if you're into doing voice acting. So for John Swasey, I don't have a lot of things for him to sign because he signed most of my stuff at Anime Midwest, but I still got a good few things for him to sign. So the first thing I got John Swasey to sign, and this was an anime that I got on Black Friday, haven't watched it yet, and it was The Book of Antora. The only thing I know is that John Swasey did voice work in it, so I can't wait to watch this show. Then the next anime I got John Swasey to sign, and this was an anime that I got for free because I was a VIP member for Anime Crossroads. And this is a very old anime. I've never heard of this anime before, and it's called Pony Pony Dash. The only thing I know about this anime is that John Swasey's in it. So for those, if you could tell me what to expect in Pony Pony Dash, please let me know in the comments. So I have no idea how this anime will go. I just got this for free. Then the next thing I got John Swasey to sign, and he did a minor role in the show, Attack on Titan. John Swasey did a character, I forgot who his name was, but I know he's in Attack on Titan. Then the next thing I got John Swasey to sign, and this is a show that Alexis Tipton signed also, My Bride is a Mermaid. John Swasey played Seto's father, so I can't wait to watch this show. And lastly, the final thing John Swasey to sign, it's my go-to anime, Shiki. So yeah, like I said before, so many people are in this show, and if I'm running out of things to sign, I usually just draw out Shiki. So that's it for John Swasey. The next time I'll meet John Swasey is at MatsuriCon, and I can't wait to go to more of his panels and having a really great time with this really, really funny guy. And finally, the last person who I met at Anime Crossroads, and I've met this guy so many times, was Greg Ayres. And what more can be said about Greg Ayres? He's a very nice guy, he runs really, really awesome panels, and he's a really, really excellent DJ. So for Greg Ayres, I'm actually running out of things for him to sign because he's signed so many of my things already. So I just went to my collection and tried to find things for Greg Ayres to sign. I ended up getting only 3 things signed by Greg Ayres because he signed the rest of my other stuff. So the first thing that Greg Ayres signed was The Book of Antora. One funny thing about Greg Ayres is that he always signs at the craziest spots possible. So look where Greg Ayres signed. She signed right on the boobs of this lady. So that's just really, really funny. So I really can't wait to watch The Book of Antora. And the final thing I got Greg Ayres to sign, and he was Shinji Kazuma in this show, and it was both my copies of Full Metal Panic Part 1 and Part 2. He played Shinji Kazuma, and I love how Greg Ayres signs this stuff. First off, he says "play it loud," and then he says "a talk for life." For those of you who never got an autograph from Greg Ayres, you'll love all the funny comments he puts on the stuff he signs. So, really glad to get Greg Ayres to sign. So there you have it. Those are all the things I got signed by Greg Ayres. I'm going to see this guy so many times again, and I can't wait to enjoy more of his panels. Rock on, Greg. So that about wraps it up for my Overkill autograph session from Anime Crossroads 2016. Once again, I never expected to get this many autographs signed at one convention. Chances are you'll probably get this many things signed if your con attendance is very, very low. So if you're going to a larger con, you're probably not going to get as many things assigned as this one, but it was just awesome that I ended up getting all these things signed by the guests. And it's a real honor to watch all these shows and play all these games and appreciate everything the voice actor did to really capture the characters they did voice work in. So that's it for my autograph haul. If you like this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more convention adventure videos. So my next con will be next week. It's Anime Milwaukee 2016, and I can't wait to meet more of the guests at that convention. So until then, this is Justin. Thank you for watching.